Hello everyone, welcome to the Engineering Projects YouTube channel. My name is Junaid Shahid, and in the last video we have studied about the general setting page to develop that in ASP.NET Core. In this video we are going to develop WordPress sidebar menu in ASP.NET Core with the help of ViewComponent. Remember that we are using ASP.NET Core. That's why we will not use render partial for the sidebar menu that is used in the ASP.NET MVC. So the approach is different in ASP.NET Core. We are going to use ViewComponent for this purpose. We will study about the ViewComponent and develop our side menu of WordPress in ASP.NET Core. Let's see in this video.
So here we have the application which is developed right now. We have worked on general setting page in the last video, and now in this video we are going to isolate this sidebar menu, and we need to develop that for application. This is the static one, and we need to implement the dynamic one, and for that we are going to use a view component. A view component is similar to partial views, but they are much more powerful. View component doesn't use model binding and only depend on data provided when calling into it. A view component render a chunk rather than the whole response, include the same preparation of concern and testability benefits found between a controller and view. We can have parameter and business logic in that too. It is typically used invoke from layout page. We will see it later when we will implement that on a code side. A view component are intended anywhere you have reusable rendering logic that's too complex for partial view, such as dynamic navigation views, for which we are going to use tagging system, logging panel, shopping cart, recently published articles, sidebar, content, and so on things. A view component consists of two parts. The class, typically derived from view component, and the result is returned, typically a view. A controller, a view component, can be a POCO class, but most developers will have to take advantage of methods and properties available by driving the view component. When considering if view component meet an application, considering using razor component instead. Razor component also combine markup with C# to produce reusable UI units. Razor components are designed for developer productivity when providing client-side UI logic and composition. So let's create a view component. Remember that a view component is a class that can be created by any following, like derived from view component, decorated class, creating a class with name as suffix of view component. So we will use deriving from the class. Here we have a code. First of all, we will create a folder in which we will place the components which we are going to use. Add, application is running, we will stop it, and rename this folder as components. In this folder we are going to add a navigation component. Add class. Okay, so we get started from the class, name it as navigation. So the navigation is created. We need to inherit this from ViewComponent Remember, once again, we are going to develop the sidebar navigation. In core, we don't have support of render partial or render action to return a partial view. That's why we are going to use a view component for the same purpose. Now, if you want to use a database, you can use here in the constructor with the help of constructor dependency injection. I'm not using that right now. I'm just implementing a simple view component by which we will get a partial view. Now we will create its invoke async method. Public async ViewComponent result, which will return the result. Invoke async, which we have to implement. If you have any parameter, you can pass that here. Right now we will pass the empty parameters like a kind of permission or so on things. Simply empty string. Now under here we have to build our logic, and then we will return the view. Simply return the view. Place logic here, and that's it. And it will return us make method synchronous. Okay, we don't working on any asynchronous thing, so this is how it's work. So we have created a component. For this we need to create a view on a specific path. Remember that the path of a view component is constant, so you have to follow this rule. You will go to the view, then go to the shared. Here is the shared. Now here you have to place the components folder. Components, and then you have to add a folder inside this as the name of view component, which is navigation. Okay, now the third step is to create a view under this component named folder, which is default.cshtml. Okay, either you want to use a view this or not, it's upon you. I am creating this as a partial one. So your structure is view, shared, component, name of your component, and then default.cshtml. This is the one side of the coin. Now move on to the other side of the coin. We are going to invoke this component, and for this we will use component.invoke method. Okay, it's created a view. We don't need to use the whole one. We simply use the HTML which is available. Okay, I have stopped the application, which is available for the sidebar. So open this WordPress layout, which is this, found the sidebar, Okay, so this is the sidebar. Now copy the code okay, so this is the code which we need to copy from here. Okay, collapse menu, writing, and so on things. So from here our navigation is worked, and this is the navigation menu, this one. Simply we will copy and comment this here and paste the code here. So we have a code available in this partial view. Now we need to place this await component dot invoke async name of your component, which is navigation, and done. If you have any parametric approach, then you can use parameter here like value, any value you want to pass from calling of ViewComponent to the method of ViewComponent. As earlier I have said that it will take information right from a method and execute that and process information. So now it goes to the method and then view and render that view here. So we will use this thing, and now and also okay, that's enough. Now we will execute this application here, and then we will get to know is it worked or not. We are using this for sidebar menu. You can use it for anything. You can perform any action, even that you can call this view component from your controller with the help of ViewComponent Filter by just giving a name and directly call that. In simple words, here is the setting controller and you are returning a view. Instead of the view, you can return a view component. You just have to simply call view component. In the first parameter, the name of the component. In the second parameter, all the attributes which you want to add. Okay. Yes, we have to declare is as a task, and that's it. So when we are using the async method or async attribute in the naming convention, we have to define that this is a task. So simply go to here and you need to do something like this. And that's it. And it's running, and now we will see how it works. You have to note that ViewComponent classes can contain in any folder in the project. I have created a component folder so that it is maintainable for me. You can add them into any page. Okay, here you can see it is rendering from ViewComponent. Now how it is rendering from ViewComponent, let's see. I will go to default CSS/HTML and add X at dashboard, and now I will refresh and let's see, X appears here or not. Okay, so X doesn't appear here. Let me force to refresh it. Okay, then where it's worked. Skip to main content and so on. Okay, I think let's click here and copy this thing. Oops, I have copied I think the wrong div. And now comment this one and now refresh this. So yes, the view component is get varnished, and if we uncomment the view component, it's available here. Okay, so we have done it successfully, and also we can check at home. Okay, yes, dashboard, post, media, something else. I think I didn't know how it's used. Okay, so here I have to use, and now here you can see how it's worked. So we are discussing the nodes. The second node is, because the class name is navigation and end with inheritance from view component, the runtime will use the string navigation when refreshing the class component from a view. I will explain that in more detail later. But the view component attribute can change the name used to reference a view component. Like for example, here we will come on the navigation class, and here we can use our view component as view component, and here we can pass the name as sidebar nav. So by this, our name of navigation component is changed with sidebar nav, but we don't need right now. But if you want to change the naming convention, you can change that too according to your requirement. Now earlier we have discussed that we can return view component from controller, so you can do that like this. View component, and same thing which you have done here. Internal part is copy, and here you are done. Now this action will not return a view, it will return a view component. So it's upon your own logic what you want to return from where. And now we are done with the view component and sidebar navigation of WordPress, which is now totally dynamic one, and we are going to fetch the information from database onward to populate the sidebar to make it more reflective and data driven.
So finally, we are done with our video tutorial of sidebar menu in ASP.NET Core of WordPress, and we have learned about the view component and developed our sidebar menu with the help of that. If you have any kind of question, you can ask us, and don't forget to subscribe the Engineering Projects YouTube channel. Take care, have fun.